Cool.
Hey guys, welcome back to an all new episode of a pro wrestling podcast with Matt and friends. I am your host, Matt Kozakowski, and alongside me today is pro wrestler Stephen Wolf. Stephen, how's it going, man?
Good, man. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm really excited to have you on the show. Like I was talking to you just a few minutes ago before we started. I'm a fan of your career. I've watched you. I seen you randomly in a Google picture, and I was like, dude, this dude has a cool look. I watched your matches. I'm like, dude, this dude's awesome. So I had to have you on the show, man. Yeah, this is going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Let's start simple. I know it's questions that you've probably been asked before numerous times, just like all the other wrestlers that I have on my show. What was the moment you fell in love with pro wrestling? Do you remember the exact moment that you were like, yo, dude, this is cool?
I've really been watching like my entire life. I think memory wise, I'd watch every Monday, Thursday, Friday, whenever wrestling was on, like with my grandmother growing up, and she absolutely loved it. And obviously that made me love it too, doing flips and stuff off the couch. But I think the moment when I was like, I want to do this, it was I was at a live event in my hometown. I was like maybe like 4 or 5, and like super up in the cheap seats, like way far away. And it was Goldberg and Triple H for the title. And I remember specifically Goldberg put Triple H in the jackhammer, and he pointed up straight to me. I guarantee it was me. It definitely wasn't just a random. And I was like, he looked at me and I was like, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And, you know, if you ask Goldberg, he'll say the same exact thing, obviously.
Oh, for sure. You know, you point to a future legend himself, like Stephen Wolf, and yeah, it's obvious, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that must have been a really cool experience because I've been to house shows too, and the main event was never that hot, like a Goldberg versus Triple H. So, right. I mean, that must have been a really cool experience as itself to witness that kind of a match live. I mean, we all know how Goldberg is now. You know, a lot of backlash to Goldberg right now, unfortunately. I mean, I'm still a fan of his. I mean, regardless, but yeah, I mean, so that was when you really decided this is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. When did you actually start wrestling? How old were you?
I was, I want to say 19. I was around 19 years old. Like I said, I've always wanted to do it like my entire life, but living in like absolutely nowhere, Illinois, I'm like 3 hours south of Chicago. Okay. So there's like no wrestling around me. I thought it was like Ring of Honor and then WWE Impact. That was it. And the dude came in and he bought like a Power Ranger. Oh, sorry. I was working at Toys R Us, and a dude came in super late night, and I actually picked up the shift, which was crazy. Like I wasn't even scheduled. And dude came in, bought a Power Ranger toy, and I was just chatting with him because I was like, there's nobody else here, like whatever. And he's like telling me how he's a collector and all this. And he's like, yeah, I collect like wrestling action figures too. And I was like, oh, that's dope. Like I was like, I watch wrestling all the time. Like I've always wanted to like, you know, be a wrestler. And he's like, oh, well, I have a promotion if you want to come try out. And I was like, there's wrestling around here. And next thing I know, like 2 weeks after that, I'm at the local bar and grill parking lot setting up a wrestling ring.
That's awesome.
And I was like, man, all of this happened because I took an extra shift at work. So I'm like, if I didn't do that, I'm like, I don't even know where I'd be right now, you know?
Oh, for sure. No, I mean, everything happens for a reason, obviously. I mean, speaking of collecting, do you have any cool collections that you collect on yourself?
I have like, if you can kind of see this right here. I have like a lot of superhero stuff, like memorabilia, comic books. I also keep a lot of Power Ranger stuff too, because I love that. Avatar: Last Airbender. A lot of the stuff that I do have. Oh, and of course Muhammad Ali, because he's like one of my absolute like role models in just life in general. But a lot of like my nerd stuff I've had to like put away because like living by myself, I was like, oh man, I'm putting this stuff everywhere.
Right.
And now like my fiance and I, like we've been living together for quite some time, and she's like, yeah, this isn't like, we need like an adult household. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess. And so like all my stuff's put away, or like we have like a bar area, and that's like kind of like where we put like all of our nerd stuff, like hers included. But for the majority of the time, like it's nice and tucked away, and I just get to enjoy it myself. So
I get it. Is there any hope for like one day having one room just designed for your stuff? All right.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's
Oh,
up,
yeah.
man. I'm a big wrestling collector. I mean, you could see my Hurt Business poster behind me, my Undisputed Era poster behind me. Like my entire closet is full of wrestling action figures. Like it's insane.
Amazing.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's cool, like always asking that question because, you know, as adult men now, you know, there's so many adult men that have a collection of something and it makes us feel like a child still. You know, I've asked so many people, up and coming wrestler, Rosario Grillo, part of a tag team called TSF. You know, we were talking about that. He's like, yeah, I'm a big Power Ranger collector. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. But it's so cool to see what people collect and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Especially, you know, some hobbies are really out there, you know. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's pretty cool, man. I get it for sure. Now let's talk about your first match, your first promotion. Do you remember your first match, who it was against?
Yes. My first match was at a place called Sky Pro Wrestling. Don't feel bad if you've never heard of it because nobody has. Like I said, it was in a bar and grill parking lot. My opponent, his name was Corbin Blaze. Now, little backstory on this gentleman is when I was working at Toys R Us, you know, all that stuff with the wrestler happened. And I was kind of just like talking to people about it. And one of the ladies that I work with, she goes, "Oh yeah, my son's a wrestler." And I was like, "He is?" And she's like, "Yeah, his name's Corbin Blaze." And she like showed me a picture of him, and he was a Sky Pro champion at the time. And I was like, "This is so cool! Like I know like a wrestler is like mom or whatever, you know." And so it's not taking my first match yet, but like the first day, training, all that. He's like, "Oh, you're the kid that works with my mom, huh?" And I was like, "Oh shit, man, this guy's basically John Cena." And I was like, "Yeah, yes sir, yes sir." He goes, "All right, okay, let's see what you got." And I was like, "Yeah, let's go," you know. And fast forward to my first match. At this point in time, I have had like little to no training. There's a total of like maybe like 6 or 7 people in the audience. I remember specifically because it was like a vinyl black canvas on the ring. It was like 90 degrees out, totally sunny day. Promoter's like, "All right, guys, nobody go over 10 minutes. It's hot out there. Just don't be on the only time be on the mat is when you're taking a pin."
Yeah.
Meeting gets over. Blaze looks at me and he goes, "We're going 20," and walks away. And I was like, "Okay, whatever." You know, at that time, my body didn't hurt at all. So I was like, "Yeah, 20 minutes, easy." And yeah, man, I remember it was like one of the hottest moments of my life. I just got a brand new tattoo, like a week prior to this. Yeah, and I was like so worried like something was gonna go wrong with it. But I was like, this is my first match ever. And like I think it went phenomenally. I'm sure if I watch it back now, I'd be like, "Oh my gosh." But man, like, even though it was like stupid hot, I just remember going to the back and like everybody being like, "Wow, that was way better than I anticipated."
Right.
And from there, man, it was just like, yeah. And me and like Corbin Blaze, like now we're best friends. I just hung out with him last week because it was his birthday. I was like in his wedding and stuff. And man, it's just, yeah, it was a great time. First match ever. Like I'm never gonna forget it.
That's so cool, man. Yeah, no, I get that. I tried training for pro wrestling and that was one of the worst mistakes of my life. You know, some people can do it, some people can't, you know, but that's cool, man, that you got to experience that and got it firsthand, knowing somebody who you worked with, son was a wrestler, growing into it and, you know, building a lifelong friend from that. I mean, wrestling's such a cool experience for sure. And, you know, you build lifelong friends from it, even just being fans. So now let's talk about you teaming up with Trey Miguel and Myron Reed. We've seen matches where you teamed up with those. Tell us what that experience was like.
Well, me and Trey, we originally tagged in AAW. We were just kind of put together. The promoter, Danny Daniels, was like, "Hey, I want you in the Chicago shows from now on." Because at the time I was only working LaSalle's. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have you teaming with Trey Miguel out from Ohio." So, all right, cool. And so I like looked up his stuff and I was like, "All right, this guy's really good. He's been wrestling since he's 13. It's insane." And yeah, dude, we just like meshed like really, really well. The tag moves like seemed almost fluid. Like we would like finish each other's like ideas and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it was an absolute blast, and we had some really crazy matches. We like faced MSK, or when they were on the Indies, and Scarlet Graves, or
Yes.
yes, when they were on the Indies, like we faced them like all the time, man. We had like crazy, like incredible matches. I loved it. And unfortunately, I broke my leg. I believe it was end of 2019, if I'm remember correctly. Actually, no, yeah, I did break my leg in 2019, but prior to that, me and Trey stopped teaming because I got a bad concussion. And that was in 2018. And yeah, I got a really bad concussion, and at the time he was still working at AAW, obviously, and that's when his like singles career took off, and that's when we kind of split. There was never like any like animosity or anything like that, but we did play that out in storylines a little bit moving forward in AAW recently. Well, during the pandemic, at the beginning of the pandemic, anyway, and then working with Myron, it was incredible as well. Like Myron, he calls himself the young goat. It's because he is.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like his ideas are like insane. And like, it's like your idea can be like a 9 out of 10. And then Myron would be like, why don't we just like do like this? And then boom, 10 out of 10. You know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, like same thing. It's like almost like everything just flowed perfectly. And yeah, dude, we just kept teaming down in Glory Pro in St. Louis. And we won the titles there. Incredible. I absolutely love the promotion, and being a title holder there was an absolute honor. And then, yeah, me and Myron kind of ended when me and Myron had to go one-on-one in this tournament for the championship, the Gateway Championship. And yeah, beat him, moved on. Then I broke my leg.
Oh,
so,
man.
yeah, all my tag like tag runs basically ends when I get injured. So I can't be in a tag team anymore because I'm tired of being injured. I
Right.
waste me much time recovering already.
We want to see you main event constantly, man. We don't want to see any more injuries. So no more tag team matches for sure.
Oh no, the main event's going to happen as soon as I come back.
Oh, for sure.
So don't even worry about it.
Oh, for sure, man. But now you mentioned AAW. AAW, a promotion from Chicago. I personally have never been to one. I want to go to one because AAW, I think, is one of the best promotions in the world. You talked about your experience with tagging with Trey and AAW and stuff like that. Tell us about AAW as a whole. What was your experience like there?
AAW as a whole, like you said, it's one of the biggest indies. It's the biggest indie in the Midwest. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Anybody who's anybody has gone through there. And me being able to be a part of it was insane. The promotion originally that ran in LaSalle was called Dreamwave, and they're the first promotion that actually like gave me like a big chance, like in like a mainstream setting. There I wrestled guys like Leo Rush, JT Dunn, AR Fox, like Lindsay, like you name them, I wrestled them at Dreamwave. And then unfortunately the promoter, he got burnt out. He just fell out of love with wrestling, and instead of like just putting on crappy shows, he's like, you know what, I'd rather just be done. And he gave like the ring, and well, not really necessarily gave, but he gave the ring to AAW and like the venue, and was like, hey, this is your baby now. Like, this LaSalle is yours. And so I would be on those shows for a little bit. And once Danny saw the potential and my work ethic, I think, he put me and Trey together in Chicago shows. Me and Trey broke up, still singles, but he still brought me back to Chicago. And being at AAW, my first singles run there, I feel like I wasn't ready. Mentally, I was in a very bad place with like my depression, anxiety, and just like lack of wanting to face that. So like I was just in my head a lot, and I feel like I just didn't perform well. I wasn't myself. I was just the wrestler that I feel like people wanted me to be instead of the wrestler that I wanted to be. And so me and AAW, we didn't really work together for a little bit, took some time away, but then I came back, started not tagging, but teaming with my now fiance, Hyan. And ever since me and her have been together, both in the ring and out, AAW, like everything was just like firing on all cylinders, mostly because I stopped being so nervous about being on AAW and just started having fun about the fact that I'm on AAW.
Right.
It's all about like the mindset switch, man. Of like, it's insane how much you can accomplish from going like, man, I can't believe like I'm on AAW to, man, I can't believe I'm on AAW, you know? It's those little things, man. It's those little things. But yeah, no, man. AAW, I love it. The locker room, it's like everybody's cool with everybody, but everybody realizes like, I'm gonna put on an absolute banger, so you got to follow me. You know, it's that follow that mentality. But like, we want the next match to be bigger. We want like our friends to be better than us. That way, we have more for the next show. You know, and yeah, man, everybody's just super fucking cool there. The fans are insane. Chicago is one of the best wrestling cities in the world, period, if not the best wrestling city. You know,
and for sure.
Loud, they're vocal. You can get in their face and they will get right back in there. They will throw drinks at you. It doesn't matter. Like, I love it. And being a heel there, man, it's fucking, oh man, it's money.
That's just crazy because somebody was telling me the other day, they're like, yeah, AEW All Out, it was nuts. The fans, the atmosphere, it was insane. And I'm like, they're like, it's AEW. And I'm like, no, it's Chicago fans, man. It's just how it is. Like, yeah, AEW All Out. I don't know if you watched it, but it was hot, man. It was hot, you know, and obviously the crowd just intensified because of how hot it was, but that crowd is just hot in general. You know, so I would love to go to an AEW show because I've watched some of the matches from there, and I've had a former AEW world champion, Shane Hollister, on my show a while back. And, you know, it's funny because, you know, you mentioned it earlier, like, all right, like I thought it was just WWE Impact and stuff like that. Growing up, so did I. And when I had JT Dunn on my show, we talked about that too. Like, we were like, yeah, we didn't know anything outside WWE existed. But it was funny because Shane Hollister was one of Shane Hollister was the first wrestler outside of WWE that I seen. And I was like, this dude has it, man. I'm going to follow his friggin' career. And it changed my entire life. I mean, that's what led me to somebody like you. That's what led me to other guys who've been on my show and other guys who are killing on an independence like Myron and Trey. And it's so awesome, man. You know, the wrestling world is just nuts.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, absolutely. I jumped ahead a little bit here. There was a promotion you wrestled for, 0-1. Now, I've watched a lot of matches from 0-1, and I've seen a lot of talents come in there, underground talents that are killing it now. Tell us about your time with 0-1 and how that was.
0-1, it's a fun company. I've been there multiple times, never, unfortunately, a regular. I'd love to continue wrestling there once I'm back. But yeah, it was kind of the same thing as like AEW. Like, they had that young, hungry mentality, but I'm not saying it's on a different level, not a better level than AEW, because like I said, it's the best promotion in the Midwest. But 0-1 has that like mentality of, we realize we aren't the biggest promotion, but we're going to do everything in our power to damn sure try to be.
Oh,
and like you said, a lot of like guys that nobody really knew about before they blew up were at 0-1. I mean, you got Warhorse, but back then he was Jake Parnell. Like him in his match with Gary J, where his freaking mouth got ripped open, insane. Guys like Jake Lander, he got one of his first like big pushes there at 0-1, and like, man, well, your boy.
Jake Lander's another one, man, who's killing it. You know, I watched a couple of his matches, and he's a really good talent. But yeah, no, dude, 0-1 it's great. I mean, it just has that electrifying atmosphere that isn't trying to know, like, they're like, oh yeah, we're the number one wrestling promotion in the world. They want to have fun. They want to put on a good show for their fans, and that's what they do every single time. It kind of reminds me of Warrior Wrestling in Chicago Heights, or out this way in Chicago. I don't know if you've watched any Warrior Wrestling events or know about Warrior Wrestling, but
yeah, for sure. Like,
I mean, we would love to see you there.
Yeah, I honestly, I've been watching Warrior Wrestling for a while. It was when they first started, they hit me up, but unfortunately, like, dates didn't coincide, so I couldn't be a part of it. But yeah, man, like, just watching the shows and kind of like just seeing the matchups and just the stuff they're allowing guys to do and giving opportunities to guys, it's awesome. And like their setup, their ring looks absolutely beautiful. You got top talent from all over the world, plus your local talents that can intertwine in there and really just like, make stars. But Warrior Wrestling is doing a phenomenal job, and they like blew up so fast in the best way possible.
Oh, for sure. I had the privilege of finally going to one of their events last month. I got to work it, and it was so hot in the building, man. I almost passed out, so I had to leave in the middle of the show. But the matches that I'd seen were insane. And it was just like the most fun experience I've ever been to. Trey Miguel was there. I got to meet Trey and actually talk to him. That was fun. But yeah, no, dude, I would love to see you at Warrior one of these upcoming shows, especially when you get healthy and 100%. I think Stephen Wolf is going to be on a whole new level.
Trust me, mentality wise, I am on a completely different level. And
for sure.
I'm definitely not coming back the same way I left. Both mentality, physically, or like wrestler wise. It's gonna be something brand new.
We can't wait to see it, man. I think it's gonna be special. I was gonna say fucking fantastic. I should have just said it. But
I've been like holding back F-bombs. I'm like, I don't know if I should do
drop
it
them, man. Just drop them. It's all good. Now we've seen you in AAW. We've seen you on the Indies. Evolve Wrestling. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Evolve. Let's talk about your time there. Your feud with Harlem Bravado. Let's kind of talk about this a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, feud with Harlem, man. That dude is so good. I mean, he's been around the world, like all over the place, and yeah, man, he's another guy where like he'll take an idea and just form it into a masterpiece. Like that dude's Picasso, and I feel like I'm stick figures. You know what I mean? Just like trying, but working with him is just so easy and so beautiful. He has this thing about him where, again, in the best way possible, everybody hates him, and he knows how to work that. He knows how to like use that to his advantage a lot of the times. And working with him match wise, man, we had like a lot of different callbacks to older matches we had and newer matches. And it seems like every time we do something, it's never the same. You will get hints of like, oh yeah, I remember they kind of, oh wait, never mind, he reversed it because he also remembers that he did that last time in there. And yeah, man, it's just awesome. Evolve was such a fun place. It was like really surreal because it definitely made you feel like important. Not that indie wrestling isn't, important by any means, because it's the lifeblood of wrestling. If we didn't have indie wrestling, there wouldn't be they'd still be WWE because they just want to have athletes, but there wouldn't be like the Impacts, the AEWs, the AAWs, the Evolves, the Warriors, whatever, But like being in a locker room with indie guys mixed with NXT guys and some WWE guys would come there too, not necessarily on the show, but they would be in the back and they would help out putting matches together and kind of helping you with your persona. And it was the best place to be to perfect who you are. You know what I mean? Because to them, and there's no disrespect to like other indies, but to them, Evolve is just straight up developmental for WWE. They're like, this is where we send NXT guys that aren't quite getting it yet so they can perfect it. So while you're there, if you're like, I kind of want to try something, but it's an Evolve, so it's a big show. It's like, no, they want you to try stuff there. That way, if and when you do get the call up or get an opportunity to be in the WWE, then you are hitting the ground running.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Arturo Ruas, who was, not getting a break in NXT, Evolve, killed it. Guys like that just showed what they were capable of. We've seen the Street Profits get their first break winning the tag team titles in Evolve. Evolve was just an awesome company to watch, and it's very upsetting that it finally shut its doors.
Right.
We've seen WWE take some talent from there. we've seen them completely let them go and drop them. We've seen a couple names still get a break. Joe Gacy is still, doing his thing.
Great guy.
Oh, absolutely. I love his matches, man. I seen something you posted on Twitter a little, not too long ago, saying how WWE offered you a contract. Was that true?
Yeah. Should that be a horrible thing to lie about, right?
Right. You're right. Absolutely.
No. So basically during the pandemic, obviously Evolve got shut down. Indie wrestling kind of ceased. And then I got an email from WWE saying that they were doing a very, very small closed tryout. And they wanted me to be a part of it. And at this point, it'd be my second tryout. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, I have to get in stupid shape in like 3 weeks or less, but like, I'm going to do it, and there at that tryout, you had the guys like Harlem, you had, Blake Christian, you had the tag team TNT, I think they were, and a couple other guys, and unfortunately, I'm just spacing on their names, but yeah, man, it was crazy cool. It was cool to see everybody there, and a lot of the guys, like 90% of the guys that were there, you saw in the graduating class. So I got the call saying, "Hey, we want to offer you a contract." Went through logistics of it. Hey, we're probably going to be moving down here in March, or originally it was supposed to be January. Turned out to be March, but then cool. I'm like, awesome. I'm literally about to live my dream. This is what I wanted since I was a kid. But then I went down for medical. We were just kind of going through everything, and like I said, I got a really bad concussion in 2018. And so we were going through my old injuries, and that one came up. And they're like, "Yeah, how did that feel?" I was like, "Oh, like I dove out of the ring. The catch was kind of weird, and basically more or less my head hit the bottom of the ring apron. So like the ring is set up by like I-beams, if you've never actually seen underneath it, and like they're obviously straight steel, stupid heavy. Bashed my head on the back, like right here. Went through, had to get 10 staples. And I told them, I was like, "Yeah, I hit my head. I got 10 staples." They're like, "Did you feel any numbness or tingling?" And I was like, "Yeah, I felt it for like maybe 5-10 seconds, and then it was gone, and I just felt pain." And the doctor's like, "Okay, we're gonna take an MRI of your neck, just to be safe that everything's on the up and up." And so I ended up being at like their hospital, or not like WWE hospital, but like the Orlando Medical, till like 10-11 o'clock at night, because they were just like, not the wrestlers, but just like they were just so busy in general. And yeah, man, that was early December. And then on my birthday, December 30th, I got a call from WWE saying that unfortunately, because of how medical came out, that they can't hire me because I have a herniated disc in my neck. They said like I need to stop wrestling immediately and get this checked out. They literally said one more bad bump and you could be paralyzed or dead. Which obviously they made me go from like way up here to like boom, shotgun real quick, And yeah, I went from about to have my dream job in WWE, like something that I really wanted for a very long time, to I am on the injured list and not going to be off of it anytime soon.
Is that the recent injury did you get that problem fixed now?
Yeah. So I don't know if you can tell, but I got that nice little guy right there.
I can see it. Yep.
Yeah. On St. Patrick's Day, I had surgery. Found out that the disc actually, when they got in there, it wasn't herniated, it was ruptured. So for anybody that doesn't know what that means, a herniated disc is between your vertebrae, there's like cushions, more or less. And right behind there is like a tendon and then your spinal cord, your nerve endings for your entire body. And a herniated disc is when it's pushing into that tendon. A ruptured disc is when the tendon is broken and it's just pushing straight into the spinal cord. And yeah, that's what I had. And at first, when the doctor told me, I was like, oh, great, that means I'm never gonna be able to wrestle again. But he's like, no, you're good. Like, you just need to take the proper rehab, proper protocols, take the time that you need, and then yeah, you'll be able to get back. And I was like, oh, great, perfect. So that was kind of like my main focus. But with that, I kept just seeing everybody else wrestling and doing incredible things. And like I said, my fiance, she's in the UK right now, doing like absolutely incredible wrestling and getting to meet people that, you know, you only dream of. And like, I'm super happy for her. But just like everybody else that I'm seeing on Twitter, on Instagram, like, I was like, man, I'm jealous, I'm bitter, jealous, you know, like I want to be able to wrestle already. I want to do this. And it just like, it ate away at me for so long, man, so long. And it was easier when it was like I first got the injury, because I'm like, all right, like I feel like shit. I feel like garbage. I can't move. I can barely eat. But like now, for instance, I'm like, I am healthy. I'm quite frankly like some of the best shape of my life, besides cardio wise, because I need to start that immediately. But yeah, man. And like mentally, I am in the best place I've ever been my entire life. Financially, emotion, everything. I am perfect except for my recovery time. I still have a little bit longer to wait, unfortunately, but my doctor telling me that I'll make full recovery, it makes it worth it. And that's kind of like the only thing I'm like really like holding on to. I'm like, all right, look, I'm gonna make a full recovery, and as soon as I come back, like I'm gonna fucking get it. I'm gonna fucking just hit the ground running as hard as possible.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, obviously seeing all that stuff on social media, seeing people post all this, you know, like this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing. Like, and obviously, especially with somebody who battles mental health, that takes a toll on you too, a little bit. You know, so I get it, man. And I condemn you for sticking through it and doing your best to just continuing to live your life and do everything you can to get yourself back into the same spotlight as all these other guys. Now let's talk about I don't want to say let's talk about the future for WWE and stuff like that. If WWE were to offer you a contract again, and knowing what's going on with their company and seeing everything that's happening to guys like Alex Zane and Anthony Henry and stuff like that, would you accept the contract, or would you have to really think about it and maybe go somewhere different?
It really is situational. Mostly because, like you said, all the stuff that's happened with like the Alex Zanes or the Anthony Henrys, it sucks. Like, you know, it sucks that they literally got there, were given the opportunity to shine, but then that was ripped away from them before they could really like flourish. And that's like, no disrespect to those guys. That's kind of one of the saving graces of the injury. I'm like, okay, if I wouldn't have this injury, I'd have went and then I'd gotten fired, and then I'd have been even worse off mentally, you know. But it's like I said, it's definitely situational. Because everybody can say like, oh, like screw WWE, like, you know, fuck them, they're fucking guys over and da 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 da. But at the end of the day, like if they offer you a contract because it is a company, and if it's lucrative enough, and depending on what else you have going on in your life, yeah, I mean, if wrestling on being a main stage superstar, wrestling wise, is your goal, then maybe not with WWE, you know. But if my focus and my goal is like my family and being able to provide for them while also being able to pursue my passion, then yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, WWE is going to be a full-time salary versus, sure, you know, indie wrestling every weekend. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love wrestling on the indie. I love being able to travel everywhere on the weekends, but having a set schedule, having to travel every single weekend, and just like driving 20-30 minutes down the road to go train with some of the best coaches in the world. Like if I get laid off in a month, a year, 10 years, like that's still a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience that I can bring back to the indies to be even better. So
I get you.
Short answer, long, it's situational.
Oh, for sure. I mean, do you think these wrestlers who got let go after only a short amount of time, not having really a big chance to shine, have every right to be pissed at WWE for a company trying to grow as themselves. You think all these wrestlers who are saying fuck WWE, screw them, like all the shit is something that should be said? Or do you think it's just something that they're just bitter about not getting that opportunity?
I mean, I can't speak for them, mostly because of the fact that I wasn't in their shoes. I don't know. I have an idea of it, of what they went through, but that's all secondhand knowledge. None of us that weren't there actually were there. They don't know if it was, oh, for example, all right, you and a girl date, you and girl break up. It might have been your fault, but when your boys ask you, hey man, like, why'd you guys break up? The first thing you're gonna say, oh, that bitch was crazy.
That's true. That's true.
You know? So I'm not like, when people are like, oh, fuck WWE. It's like, yeah, I'm sure like they are a business first. So they don't give a shit if they fuck somebody over. You know, they really don't care. So you have to realize that going into it. Like, this is a business, and especially with all of the layoffs that happened prior to those signings, like, you got to realize wrestling is a very fickle mistress. Doesn't matter where it's at. Now there's a little bit more stability because of AEW and Impact, and those guys putting the wrestlers before the business, which that is honestly why those promotions are absolutely blowing up. They don't have an ego. They realize we are all in this together and we need to make something of ourselves. So that's why that is just skyrocketing, where WWE is like, yep, we're WWE. We're always going to be WWE. Like, you guys are chasing us. That's their mentality, which, again, nothing wrong with that. But it's a matter of, where do you want to have that focus at? And I'm sure the guys have every single right to be angry at WWE for letting them go. I would have been angry too. But like I said, I'm not in their situation. I don't know what they went through. They may have every right. They may not. But at the end of the day, wrestling is a business, and wrestling, especially in WWE, is a business.
Oh, for sure. No, I get it. It's just something that I've always seen, like, especially with all the releases and stuff, is you've seen people that are like not bitter towards it. You've seen people that were, and it's always just a question that you have set in your mind, like, what really happened? Like, was it something that we're not seeing the full side of the story to, or was it WWE just being WWE? Like, you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too, is like, you want to have that good balance of being able to keep your pulse on what's going on between like companies, or like what's going on in a company, but you don't want to get to a point where like the only thing you hear is about like the negativity of the company, because that's going to give you just like a bad taste in your mouth. You want to be able to realize like, oh, hey, here's the positives, here's the negatives.
I mean, do you think there'd be a lot more or a lot less negatives if something like AEW didn't exist?
No, there's still be negatives. I think with AEW, like, if they didn't exist, all these layoffs were still going to happen. I feel like if AEW is the reason why these guys got let go, then that's the dumbest thing in the world. They were getting let go because, quite frankly, WWE didn't see a use for them anymore. They didn't see that they brought profit. They were fucking wrong on so many accounts. I will put everything on that. They were wrong, because now you got guys going into AEW getting the opportunity that WWE should have given them, and now they're
Oh, for sure. And especially with the rumors of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, you don't know what's going to happen with them. And especially with where they're at in the card, I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't put it past them. It's one of those things that you got such star power, and you have them at one of the lowest points of the show. It's a shame. It's a shame that you see the same thing week in, week out, every week. I think, who was it? Tony Nese or something posted on Twitter yesterday or 2 days ago saying, like, I'm glad I don't have to wrestle the same match 52 weeks in a row. Like, that's something that AEW brings differently to the table, obviously, is different matchups.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, but let's get back to this really quick. You did have a debut match at Reality or Wrestling not too long ago, less than a year ago, I should say, right? Probably around then.
Yeah, my last match, actually.
Tell us about that experience, how that was. Reality Wrestling is one of my favorite indie promotions. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So let's talk about that. How was that experience?
Well, obviously Reality Wrestling is run by Booker T. So like the amount of pressure I felt going into it, not necessarily like pressure to perform like well against Gino, which he's part of MLW. He is one of the best like luchadors that I've ever been in the ring with. He's so good, has so many incredible ideas. That means like movements and just flow is damn near perfection. So going into Row, their locker room is very family oriented. And I don't mean that like, I mean, obviously show wise, there's like no cussing, none, anything like that. But in the back, like I said, it's like a family. They all grew up together, more or less training, right? They're on every show together. Like everybody knows everybody and everybody loves everybody. But with new people coming in to that show, they're not like, oh, hey, you're not one of us. They're like, oh, hey, yep. Like, we'd love to have you. We'd love to like bullshit with you and like, you know, questions and talk and conversate. So like the vibe there is great, especially like after the show, we all like go out and like have dinner together, which is awesome. I love when like locker rooms actually hang out afterwards instead of pin me, pay me, let me get back to the hotel.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but
I mean, how was it, especially knowing that's something that High-End, you know, your fiance came from?
Yeah.
How was that experience? I mean, was she the one that kind of pulled the strings to get you in there, or did you kind of get those strings yourself, or how did that happen?
It was a little bit of both. So one of the guys that runs their social media, his name's Kevin. I posted on Twitter and I was like, I did the proverbial Stephen Wolf versus Gino. Let's make it happen. And yeah, he hit me up. He's like, hey, so, and him and Hyan are pretty close. So, you know, they talk and conversate. So Hyan let it slip that, you know, I was going to be in getting signed. And he's like, hey, he's like, I definitely didn't hear this. However, if you can wrestle still this date, we'd love to have you and make that match with you and Gino happen. And I was like, I can still wrestle that date. It will probably be my last date of wrestling. Awesome. Like, so I would love to, especially with the fact that Hyan and I were going to be in Houston for Thanksgiving. First time I'm meeting her family. Actually, that's where we got engaged. That was 3 days before that show.
That's awesome.
So going into the show, I was nervous because one, I'm gonna meet Booker T. Two, I'm meeting all of Hyan's friends for the first time. Three, I'm meeting Hyan's friends for the first time as her fiance. And I got to make sure people realize she's not going to marry a shitty wrestler.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that match, I definitely put a little bit something extra into it. That because it was my last match, I had to show out. Unfortunately, Booker T wasn't there because he's like, "Yep, fuck that, COVID, no." But I don't blame him at all. Yeah, man, it was so much fun getting in the ring with Gino. Like, yeah, that dude fucking kicks hard though.
He's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, his movements, his flows, his just like ring IQ, incredible. And I had so much fun that match, and that definitely was a last match I feel like I could have hung my hat on. But unfortunately, and well, not unfortunately, it's not going to be my last indie match. So like, I just got to keep the ball rolling. As great as that match was, now I got to make sure I top it even more and more, especially with it being almost over a year ago. Got to make sure people don't forget about me.
Are there any hopes of returning to Reality Wrestling?
Oh yeah, absolutely for sure. I've been in talks with them, and they definitely want to work something out whenever I do get cleared from my injury. So I'm definitely going to be back in Houston, Texas for Row, and well, Houston in general, because that's where we're hoping to move here in the next, I'd say, 6 months, get a house down there.
That's
Or
awesome.
something like that. Yeah.
Congrats on that, man. It's very exciting. That's really awesome.
Thanks, bro. Thank you.
Now let's kind of talk about mental health.
Yes.
I know it's something that you battle with. It's something that I battle with. How long have you been battling with mental health?
That I've been aware that I'm battling mental health.
Yeah.
Since I was, I'd say 22, 23. However, I say that because that's when I realized, like, oh, hey, I need to get help for my depression. Before then, it was my life sucks and it just sucks. There's nothing I can do about it. It's not depression. It's just I'm not that talented. I'm not that great of a person. So I can't do much. So yeah, depression really ran my life for like up until about, honestly, like 3 months ago. Just depression, anxieties, and like anxiety of like not performing well, or like, what if this happens? What if that happens? And just fears of failure and like not wanting to put myself out there. Like I said, like the first time I failed in AAW was because I was too scared to try something else. I was trying to do what other people were doing and I couldn't do it as well as them because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And man, like at first I've been on medication for like the longest time for my depression. And then I had to get on medication for my anxiety and it just kept getting worse and worse. And then finally, like, I love her. Hi on, man. She's like, you need to go to therapy because you have been through so much shit this year with wrestling, your surgery, your family issues that I've been going through. And man, it's been a lot. And I was like, you know what? You're right. She was just like real with me. She's like, she's like, you're a wreck. Your hair is growing out, your beard's like, you need to take care of yourself. And like I said, I wasn't my biggest fan. So I was like, all right, if I'm going to do this, like, I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing it for me. I'm going to do it for you. And as I was getting to therapy, it stopped being so much about like, oh, I'm going to do this. So high on, like, more or less won't leave me because I'm scared she's going to leave me. It turned more into like, oh, maybe I'm not as bad as I think I am. Oh, well, I'm actually like a really good person. Oh, like I'm actually very athletic. I don't have limits. I am very good at talking on the micro when I'm in a wrestling ring. I'm very good, like, in a wrestling ring in general. I don't know why I doubt myself so much. I don't know why I doubt myself, like, when I go to the gym or like worry about people like looking at me the wrong way because I'm in a grocery store standing in this one spot for too long. And like, man, it's just so much nicer now. Being able, I mean, I've still faced my depression and anxiety. I'm still on my medication. And honestly, if you're not on medication, you feel like you need to, trust me, it's a great idea. Therapy was life-changing. Step one is definitely, like, I'd say therapy and then medication. Mostly because your therapist can let you know like what medication is good enough for you. But yeah, man, it's been a struggle really my entire life. But yeah, man, it's been rough. But
oh no, for sure, man. I get it.
Like, yeah, as like you said, like you suffer from it too.
Oh, right. I mean, I've been battling since 13. Like I would sit on my basement steps and like, why am I alive? Like I'd get to that point, like suicidal thoughts just popping in my head. And I battled this for 17 years. Like, I'll be 30 next month. And it's just like, it's still, kind of gets you once in a while. I've been on about 4 years ago. I think it really hit me. I was laying down on the couch, just watching TV. And I just started having like a really, really bad panic attack just out of nowhere. And I thought I was having a heart attack. Like that's how bad it was. And they put me on medication, and just the medication kind of made me feel more depressed. Like it was one of those things where like I get asked now and people are like, are you on medication? I'm like, no, but I'm in therapy. Medication just kind of made me more down on myself, and I hated myself. Like it was making it worse. They're like, well, that's not how it should be. And I'm like, it is for me for some reason. But about back in March, so September last year, me and my fiance split. I found out she was cheating on me 4 months before our wedding. Really rough really rough patch. I mean, I lost my grandma like 2 months before that. So it was a rough year last year, especially with the pandemic happening and all that. So back in March, I starting to do my podcast, my interviews and stuff like that. And I reached out to Darius Lockhart, who wrestles on the Independents. And all of a sudden I got a follow from a wrestler who I never knew, Jackson Stone. And I found out he was a mental health advocate. And we kind of just started talking. And he has been there for me, a big support system since I met him. I quit doing my show in March after I did like 5 episodes or 6 episodes, and I canceled all my other scheduled shows and started back up in June or July, somewhere around there. But July 1st, I decided when I had JT Dunn on my show, I was going to quit drinking. Alcohol, just kind of hiding things and stuff like that. And JT Dunn being sober for 9-10 years, it kind of was an inspiration for me. Mm-hmm. So I stopped drinking and I started therapy, and like just mentally, I've been so much better and so much healthier. And, it's just a lot of people don't look at therapy. Like, it's very hard to talk about because I had family who just pushed me like, oh, well, you need to just go see a therapist. And all I wanted to do was have somebody to listen, and when family just pushed you aside, it's kind of hard to do that. So it makes you feel like, well, I don't want to see a therapist. You guys just keep pushing on me. But I finally got to that point and I was like, I need to do this for me. I need to do this to make myself better. And I think a lot of people out there misinterpret mental health. I think a lot of people out there don't understand it fully. It's very hard. And I think a lot of people post on social media, and I was talking about this to somebody the other day. I think a lot of people post on social media saying like mental health, this, mental health, that, just because they want to get the follows and likes and stuff like that. It's very rare that you find somebody who 110% understands what mental health is. And it's one of those things that unless you actually 110% deal with it, you don't know what anybody else is dealing with. You get called names, you get called all these other things, and you don't know what that's doing to the other person. So I respect the hell out of you for continuing to push through all your mental health issues and stuff like that and making it to where you are and getting the help you needed to, because it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it honestly is. Getting the help that you need is the best. I always thought that like I always felt better when I helped people. And so I was like, all right, that's how I'm going to combat my depression, is just helping. Sure. But the reality is, if you have a cup of water and it's only halfway filled, I mean, if you pour it into another cup, you're only going to fill up a cup halfway, right? You yourself need to get better. You need to fill your cup. That way you are able to give more, and then you just fill up your cup again. Give that self-care. Like, I'm not ashamed to say it. Like, now I take baths. It's fucking awesome.
Oh yeah.
like I'm dead ass serious, dude. I'll put on a bath, some Epsom salts, some
F-bombs.
Yeah, F-bombs. Frank Sinatra, dude. I'm just chilling. I'm like, yep, this is my best life.
Oh hell yeah, man.
It's all about having that relaxation, and even like not even like a daily thing. Daily, mentally, the best way to clear your mind and stuff is I journal. It's definitely helped me a lot. But no, also starting to kind of backtrack. You were talking about how you quit drinking because JT Dunn came on your show. That's fucking awesome. When I was younger, I did have a drinking and a pill problem. And JT Dunn really did help me out with like my prescription. He didn't know it at the time. I told him later on, but yeah, man, thanks to him and just like help, my prescription pill addiction. I haven't had one since January 21st of 2019, I want to say. Awesome. And yeah, man, I'm super thankful for that. And that's never going to be something I ever do again. That's like not of my own prescription, I should say. But yeah, right. Shout out to JT Dunn, man, because he's a real one without a doubt, in and out of the ring.
Oh, for sure, man. It was one of the coolest things. I mean, I didn't realize that that's what I wanted to do. I mean, until I got him on my show and we were just talking, and I was like, you know what? He did it. And he's in a great mindset, and he's just killing it. And I want to be that person.
Yeah.
Not that I want to be JT Dunn specifically. I want to be my own person, but I'm like, I want to be how good he's feeling. That's how good I want to feel. And not drinking anymore has changed that so much. It has made me feel so much calmer and cool and collected. And I mean, shit, baths help. I mean,
yeah, right?
they do help, but it's crazy. I mean, therapy helps so much. And I try to reach out and tell people if they ever want to reach out and talk or whatever, like I'm an open book. I'll let them vent to me or, whatever, I get the pain and how bad it feels. It makes you feel like you're alone. And it's a very, very rough time. So like I said, I really appreciate you opening up and talking about that a little bit and just continuing living your best life, man. It's awesome.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And obviously I'm proud of you for being able to live with this well, man. It's difficult for people like us. And, there's people that have depression that's, it's a little bit easier to deal with. And some people it's worse to deal with. It really is it's different for each person. And no matter what you're struggling with, no matter what you're going through, you need to realize that there's always an out, and there's always somebody that like wants to help you. Like people would rather hear your story and hear about like what's going on. Even if you feel like you're complaining, they'd rather do that than have to say, man, I miss so-and-so. I wish they were still around. I'd rather sit around for an hour listening to you complain about like the person in front of you in traffic than sit an hour at your funeral.
Yes, absolutely.
And don't feel bad if you feel like you can't help somebody, if you're in a place where you can't. That was a struggle for me because growing up, I needed a hero. I needed somebody to save me, and I didn't. So now that's all I ever do. And I feel horrible if I can't help somebody. But the reality is, like I said, you can't fill up somebody else's cup if your cup's empty. You need to be able to pour into yourself. You need to be able to grow yourself so you can help others grow. Because if you're just a depressed person trying to help another depressed person, you're just helping them in depression, period. If you are somebody that knows how to fight the battle against depression, and sometimes battles you win, sometimes battles you lose, but the reality is you can keep fighting. That is when it's important to be like, all right, I know some tips and tools that can help, so I'm going to help. If you're just in a spot where you're like, I don't know what to do, but they need me to do something, so I'm going to do it. Like, don't breathe. Give yourself a second. Think. It's okay. It's okay to worry about yourself for more than 5 seconds. It honestly really is.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. So that was really a good way to put it. 2 final quick questions for you. Where can the fans find you at on social media?
On socials, make it super easy. It's Stephen Wolf 309 on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's Stephen with a PH because I'm fancy as fuck. And yeah, that's where I'm at. If you are on PlayStation Network, Fire Nation Chief, that's my name. Hit me up. Other than that, man, yeah, follow my socials because right now I'm just working on comeback.
Is there a timetable for that?
Yes, there is. Right now I'm not really at liberty to say when exactly. But I can say with certainty it is less than 2 months away.
Awesome. Can't wait, man. Can't wait to see what the future holds for you, Stephen. You're a hell of a talent, man. You fucking kill it. And we just can't wait to see what's up. So
thank you. Appreciate it.
Stephen, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for chatting with me. I really appreciate it, man. And the future is going to be great for you when you come back, man. We're looking forward to it.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me. It's great being able to talk to you for the past hour. And yeah, man, can't wait to see what the future holds.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, fans. I appreciate you guys watching. Stephen, we'll talk soon, man.
All right. See you.